I know there's a lot of Giant fans out there that can't stand Daniel Jones. They don't like him. He's been in the league for 3 years. They already want to run him out. They don't think he's qualified enough to be a New York Giant quarterback. If anybody doesn't remember in 2004 when the Giants drafted Eli Manning, when he demanded the Chargers to trade him, and the Giants drafted Eli Manning, a lot of Giant fans were so excited about Eli Manning. Kurt Warner was on the team. He started the season as the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. As the season progressed, they brought Eli Manning. By the way, the Giants were in the playoffs when they took Kurt Warner out and they put Eli Manning. And everybody took shots at Tom Coughlin. What are you doing? You had a chance to make the playoffs. Eli Manning is still a little wet behind the ears. Let him figure things out as a backup quarterback and then start him next year. But Tom Coughlin believed in Eli Manning. So did the Giant fans. And the reason why the Giant fans believed in Eli Manning was because of the last name. We all know the Manning family. Peyton Manning, Archie Manning. Eli Manning was the next up-and-coming superstar in the league, and the Giant fans wanted him. It took Eli Manning almost 3 years to figure things out. And then in 2007, he went on that run, won a Super Bowl, and became a god here in New York. Over the last couple of years, the Giant fans were talking about Sam Darnold. They were talking about Justin Herbert. Both guys, they had a chance to draft. Now, Justin Herbert was going to be drafted by the New York Giants. If he went into that draft, the Daniel Jones draft, he was going to be the Giants' pick. But who knows if he would have been there when the Giants were up and ready to draft. Now, I know a lot of people out there love Saquon Barkley. Now, let's look at Saquon Barkley's numbers. Everybody's comparing Saquon Barkley's skills to Barry Sanders, his athletic ability. Oh, my God, he's unbelievable. Saquon Barkley has been in the league for 4 years. He has played in 33 games. He has 2,427 yards and 17 touchdowns. We talk about Christian McCaffrey. We talk about the other young running backs in the league. Saquon Barkley hasn't even achieved anything yet as a starting running back in this league, and people are comparing him to Barry Sanders. Why is it that Saquon Barkley has been out for almost a year and a half, and he is a god to Giant fans, and Daniel Jones, everybody wants to run out. He hasn't done anything. He's no good. He's a waste of space. The Giants have not built an offensive line in front of this guy. They haven't given him a number one wide receiver. And don't tell me Kenny Golladay is a number one wide receiver. He's not. What we saw on Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen, is one thing. The Giants choked, but it wasn't because of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones made every single throw. He ran in a touchdown. He actually had 2 touchdowns. One was brought back, which I believe was a touchdown. It shouldn't have been a penalty. He would have had 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards run. And by the way, if there wasn't so many drops in the third and fourth quarter, he would have had over 350 yards. But Giant fans are trying to run him out. On social media, they're killing him. And then there are Giant fans that are sticking up for him. Oh, it's not DJ's problem. It's not DJ's fault. DJ is not calling the plays behind the line of scrimmage. That's Joe Judge. That's Garrett. Now, I know Giant fans want to take shots at Jason Garrett. It's all because of him. With 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the game, and the Giants intercepted the ball, Bradbury intercepted the ball, they had a chance to run the clock out past the 2-minute mark. And in 11 seconds, they ran the ball 3 times with Saquon Barkley, and they gave the ball back to Washington after they kicked an easy field goal. That was a loom of disaster right there. But Giant fans were sitting there and blaming Danny Dimes. That Danny Dimes didn't make the throws. He should have thrown the balls a little bit better. He should have ran the ball when he had the opportunity to run the ball, which he ran the ball very, very well. A matter of fact, he outran Saquon Barkley. He ran the ball with 9 carries and 95 yards and 1 touchdown. Saquon Barkley carried the ball 13 times with 57 yards and no touchdowns. So your star running back, quote unquote, your quarterback outran your star running back. But everybody wants to blame everybody else but what we have seen of this team in the last 2 games. Last year, their defense was amongst the league's best, especially early in the season, running the 4-3 defense with Ramsey. This year, in the first 2 games, their defense has been horrible. They give up 30 points to a Washington football team. Let's be honest. They have 1 big-time superstar wide receiver, McLaurin. That's it. They don't have Reed anymore. They don't have a star tight end. Their offensive line's pretty good. Their defense is supposed to be amongst the league's best. And by the way, the last two games, the first two games of the season, Washington's defense has not looked any good. But they stayed in the game. You know why? Drop passes. And I'm so sick and tired of listening to Giant fans talk about guys like Darius Slayton. I've heard Giant fans compare his skills to Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham was a first-round draft pick, drafted number 12 by the New York Giants. Saquon Barkley is amongst the league's best at his position, not only because of his name, because of his skills and his athletic ability. Darius Slayton is probably ranked 200th in the league as a wide receiver. But Giant fans want to put all the pressure on Daniel Jones to get him the ball because he's the next thing to Odell Beckham. Kenny Golladay got $76 million in the offseason. Thursday, he had 3 receptions for 38 yards. No touchdowns. You're paying a guy $76 million to be a good number 2. I think there was one tight end actually caught the ball the whole game. Kyle Rudolph, 2 catches for 25 yards. He is the only tight end that actually caught the ball. The Giants have nothing. When we talk about stats and we talk about percentages and we look at what has happened in the past in the NFL, since 2007, only 12% of the teams have made it to the playoffs with an 0-2 record in the beginning of the season. Since 1990 and the 12-team playoff format began, only 12% of the teams starting off the season 0-2 make it to the playoffs. We look at the Giants right now, and this isn't Daniel Jones' fault. Everybody wants to point their fingers at Daniel Jones. Oh, this is the year Daniel Jones has to prove himself, or he's gone. Dave Gettleman, his whole career is on the line with Daniel Jones. The Giants have done Daniel Jones a disservice because over the last 3 years, after losing Odell Beckham, trading him away, they have added nobody at the wide receiving position that can make the plays and take the pressure off this kid, especially when you added Saquon Barkley 3.5 years ago and expected him to be your running back of the future and help you win a Super Bowl. Odell Beckham was the guy. He was that superstar wide receiver that was going to help the Giants make it to that promised land. Now, Odell Beckham, he went to the Browns. He can't stay healthy, tore his ACL. He's not the same player he once was, but he was a superstar player. And when you have another superstar player on the field, it takes the pressure off the quarterback. Now, was Odell Beckham good for a rookie quarterback? He hasn't been good for Baker Mayfield. But if you're going to trade Odell Beckham away, you draft a wide receiver. 2 years ago, that draft was a highly profiled wide receiving draft. Do you know how many the Giants drafted? A lousy goose egg. None. You have a rookie quarterback. Gettleman has been there for almost 5 years. He has added 1 offensive lineman in the first round. If you're going to build a wall, you're going to build it in the first round. You're going to draft an offensive lineman every other year to build that offensive line to protect your quarterback. They added Thomas 2 years ago. Was he a good pick from Georgia? He looks like he is a good pick. He's a good fit for the New York Giants. And I know everybody says Hernandez was another pick by Gettleman in his first draft. He was a second-round draft pick. And Hernandez, to me, has been a bust. He hasn't been as good as everybody thought he was going to be. When you talk about the Giants, this isn't Daniel Jones' fault. Now, I listened to the press conference of Joe Judge, and he was upset about the play calling at the end of the game. Well, if you're upset about the play calling at the end of the game, why aren't you stepping in? Why are you letting Jason Garrett make the calls when you're the coach of the team? You said when you took this job with the New York Giants, you were going to control all 3 aspects of the game: special teams, defense, and offense. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't Daniel Jones, it wasn't Saquon Barkley, or even some of the drop passes by Slayton or Kenny Golladay or Sterling Shepard in the game that really lost the Giants the game against Washington on Thursday. No, it was an offsides by Dexter Lawrence. We talk about coaching. I don't understand why Joe Judge, after Washington spiked the ball, didn't run to McGahee, the special teams coach, and tell him to make sure that the players are aligned on the field goal so they don't go off sides. And Joe Judge, he looked really, really good in the beginning of the season last year. Looked fantastic. And then in the second half of the season, he looked horrible. And it's not all because of the coach, but the coach is going to get all the respect and all the glamour when they're winning, And when they're losing, who do you think the pressure is going to be beating on? The quarterback and the coach. Now, Daniel Jones is a young kid. You can't blame this kid that right now, 0-2, the season starts for the New York Giants, that they don't look like much of a team. He has looked good his second game. Now, the first game, did he look good? He played a very good defensive team. We know what the Broncos are. They're scary good, especially adding that secondary help that they added with Fuller and the young cornerback in Surtain. We talk about what this team needs to be and what this team needs to do moving forward. It's not all about Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley needs to wake up. He needs to run more than 56 yards in a game. He needs to start scoring touchdowns. Kenny Golladay needs to start catching the ball and getting open to catch the ball so guys like Daniel Jones can zoom on the ball and throw him the ball down the field. Because what we have seen so far in week 1 and 2 is a team that doesn't know their identity. They don't know who they are as a team. And what do the fans like to do? They like to point their fingers on somebody. And you know who they're pointing the fingers at? The young quarterback in Daniel Jones. Danny Dimes. He's wrongly disrespected by the Giant fans. And I think the Giant fans need to take a step back and wonder if we stand behind this kid, maybe he'll play better. Maybe he'll believe in his offensive line. Maybe he'll believe in the fans that are backing him up and not booing him when they're out in MetLife Stadium. And this goes on and on and on when it comes to New York sports. Look what the Yankee fans do to Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone, back-to-back years, wins 100 games, has gone to the playoffs every single year. And the Yankee fans boo him. The Yankee fans want him out. Brian Cashman has had 28 winning seasons as a GM. How many sports teams in the last 100 years that's had 30 years of a winning record? The Yankees are the only team in professional sports that's had a winning record in 30 years. But everybody wants Brian Cashman gone. Everybody wants Aaron Boone gone. And the same thing with Giant fans. They all want Daniel Jones gone. They all want Dave Gettleman gone. Is Dave Gettleman a good GM right now? I think his drafts have been okay. Have they been significantly great? No. But everything lies on Daniel Jones? Come on, guys. Daniel Jones has gotten better and better and better every single year. And yes, he fumbled the ball in week 1. He made mistakes. Every quarterback makes mistakes. Did anybody watch Aaron Rodgers in game 1? Aaron Rodgers, the MVP of the league, arguably the best quarterback in all of football, laid up a lousy goose egg. Does everybody think that it's Aaron Rodgers' fault that they laid up a whole lousy goose egg? No, they're not blaming Aaron Rodgers because the fans love Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers didn't have a preseason. Aaron Rodgers didn't even play in the offseason. He was on vacation enjoying himself. Daniel Jones has worked his butt off. He deserves the respect from the Giant fans. Give him a chance to prove himself. Put players around him to succeed, and he will succeed. When you have Kenny Golladay, he's the best player you can add in the offseason, and you're going to pay him $76 million? He's not Amari Cooper, Odell Beckham, Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Michael Thomas. Come on, guys. This Daniel Jones and Kenny Golladay argument on the bench is absolutely ridiculous, too. I understand that the press wants to write about something, and they saw both of them arguing on the sidelines in the fourth quarter. In the heat of the moment, this always happens. How many times did we see this year in and year out with the Pittsburgh Steelers? We've seen this with the Baltimore Ravens, even the New England Patriots over the years with Tom Brady arguing on the sidelines. But it's such a big story right now because Kenny Golladay was yelling across the bench to Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones comes out and says yesterday that it was nothing, whatever it is, it was cleared up. I understand that the press is trying to drag in a story, but this story is nothing of a story. And that's why Daniel Jones is the centerpiece of what's going on with the New York Giants and what the fans want to blame it on. I don't understand the Giant fan. The pressure that this kid has drawn since he's taken over for Eli Manning, who's won 2 Super Bowl championships, which every Giant fan was trying to run out before 2007. Oh, he's no good. He's terrible. Go look at Eli Manning's numbers in the first 3 years of his career. Horrible. And then 2007, where nobody thought they were going to make the playoffs and go on the run that they went on. Nobody thought that Eli Manning was the guy. He wins a Super Bowl, made some of the most unbelievable throws, knocked off the 18-0 New England Patriots, and he becomes a god to the Giant fans. I remember a lot of people saying that when Eli Manning's career is over, fans are going to regret not respecting the greatness of what they saw when he was on the field. Now you have Daniel Jones. He's got all the pressure on him. And all the fans, instead of standing behind him, are trying to push him out.